If your crew treats your plan like a suggestion, all you have is chaos in a box. You're listening to Success Unleashed, where we show contractors how to grow a 7- or 8-figure business. My name is Garrett Bake, and I've helped over 1,000 contractors and trade business owners just like you put the people, processes, and plan in place to create ultimate freedom. Welcome to the show. 6 months ago, a remodeler started working with us as a client, and he was really excited about bringing in more leads, about having more structure and organization, and ultimately growing his business. Now, he was successful, if you will, up until that point. He was generating about $1 million a year, right? But he wanted to bump to 5. Now, he was younger, hyper aggressive, and ready to just implement everything. One of those guys, right? So this guy came on, and the first thing that I said was, how are you doing your jobs? And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, how are you setting up your jobs? And he's like, well, I just figure out who I need on the job, and then I tell them what needs to get done, and then they do it. And I was like, okay, how's that been working out for you? And he's like, it hasn't. So mind you, he's doing $1 million and he's got 8 employees, which is kind of pushing the boundary of employees you should have. Plus he's using subs on jobs. Now, the issue that he had wasn't that he didn't know what needed to get done or how it needed to get done. In fact, he had a list of people waiting for his schedule to open up so they could work together. The real issue that he had was that he kept having to go babysit his crews. He kept having to go back and babysit his subs. And so mind you, he's sitting in a geographical area that is probably, 200 miles wide, right? It's rural, it's in Montana. So, the cities, the towns are kind of spread out. So if you want to, grow, you got to hit a few of these towns, these cities and towns. And so he was spread out. So mind you, his day started at 5 a.m. and ended usually about 11 or midnight. Probably sounds familiar to you. But the majority of his day was spent driving. In fact, I think he had a 2023 with 175,000 miles on his truck, right? Think about that. That's a lot of miles, right? So the issue wasn't his ability to land the work. He was landing the work. His issue wasn't an ability to understand what needed to happen on those jobs. His issue wasn't the profitability on those jobs. The issue was the people on the jobs, right? So he had a plan, but his team was ignoring it. So because they were ignoring it, we've got missed deadlines. We've got rework. We've got finger pointing. Oh, it's the plumber's fault. It's John's fault. It's whoever's fault. But ultimately, it was affecting him and his ability to get things done and his ability to make money and not lose money on jobs. Now, why does this happen, right? I'm sure you've experienced this in some way, shape, or form. Why does this happen? It happens for a couple of reasons, okay? The first is the plans are vague, right? Because if I tell you, hey, we're going to remodel the kitchen, your interpretation of remodeling the kitchen and mine are completely different. If I say, hey, I need you to put in a garbage disposal and a new water line, still, it's vague, and you're probably going to do it the way that you think it should be done versus the way that I expect it to get done. You can't be vague. The second thing, ownership. Now, I don't mean that each of your employees are going to have an ownership stake in your business. What I mean is that they need to know that they own whatever step of this process is involved, whether it's demo, framing, electrical, plumbing, drywall, whatever it is, they need to own that step, right? What if they're in the office? They still need to own that step. Well, what if they're loading the trucks with supplies? They need to own that step, right? They need to know that it's their responsibility, not anybody else's. And it's not something that happens afterwards. It's something that you have to set up before. The next thing, there's no checkpoints, if you will, right? What's the whole purpose of checkpoints? Well, let me tell you a story. Some of you guys are familiar with David Goggins. I love David Goggins. Not for everything that he does, but a lot of things. But I love his mentality around getting stuff done, right? Nobody cares, get it done anyway. Well, David Goggins, when he was going through Ranger School, one of the things that he had to learn was land navigation, which they basically give you a compass, a couple of points in a map, and say, you have 1 hour, you have 5 hours, whatever, to get from here to that point. By the way, we're not telling you where we just dropped you off at. Good luck. And he would go, right? But the whole purpose of land nav is he would set checkpoints, right? I need to make it to this ridge. And then he would go to that ridge and he would recalculate. Okay, I need to make it to this valley. Okay, I made it to that valley, recalculate, right? And it was constant checkpoints to make sure that he got to where he wanted to get to. Because if he missed a checkpoint, what do you think happened? He didn't hit the outcome. He didn't get to where he wanted to get to. And your people in your team are no different. No checkpoints, high likelihood they're not going to make it to where you want to get to. The last thing, and trust me, this is the hardest for all of you, is no consequences. If somebody hits a gas line, what's the consequence? If somebody damages their vehicle, what's the consequence? If somebody screws up on a job, what's the consequence? No consequence. They're not afraid. Maybe afraid's not the right word. They're not worried about the repercussions if they screw something up because, Bob's going to take care of it. The owner's going to handle it. You're going to, I'll be all right. I mean, he might say something, but he's not actually going to do something, right? Meanwhile, it's costing you hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, or more. And I've seen this over and over and over again. What do you need to do then? Okay. What do we need to do to overcome lack of clarity in your plans, right? Vague plans. The fact that you're having to do rework, no ownership, no checkpoints, and no consequences. So let's walk through this, right? Plans are vague. Something that's going to help you make sure that everybody understands what needs to happen and how it needs to happen is by implementing a very simple checklist. Now you're like, but all we do is install water heaters, or all we do is replace ceiling fans, or all we do is pour concrete. Yeah, congratulations, right? If you want to scale, you have to make something that's duplicatable. A process is duplicatable. Teaching somebody how to do work is not duplicatable. So you need a simple checklist. What are the 5, 10, 20 steps involved every single time we redo a kitchen or a bath? Every single time we redo a roof, or we add siding, or we install landscape, right? A very simple checklist every single time. The second thing, no owners, okay? When you go through this checklist, you're going to assign ownership to an individual. Now, if it's a small job, right, a one-person job, well, they're owning the whole thing, okay? But if there's multiple steps involved or multiple trades involved, there has to be ownership. There's no finger pointing, it's ownership. Perfect example, we're doing a remodeling project, actually it's a TI project, and we're building out the framing. Well, according to the plans, we built out the framing. Well, then the supervisor came by and said, hey, this wasn't done. And we're like, you're right, it wasn't. Then we looked at the plans and realized that, hey, the plans didn't call for it. That's why it wasn't done. So the super had to own the fact that, hey, that's our responsibility for not having that detail in the plans, right? Ownership. The third thing, checkpoints. I told you what a checkpoint was already. Here's a couple of checkpoints minimum that you should have every single day. A morning huddle, okay, and an end of day debrief. That's it. 2 meetings, 5 minutes each. What are we doing today? How are we getting it done? What did we get done today? Did we have any issues that we need to address? That's it. Super simple. Now, if it's a very complicated, intricate, high risk, safety concerns, I would recommend having 3 of those, beginning, middle, and end of day. Okay, but at a minimum, beginning of day, end of day. Now, some of you guys are like, oh, well, we have them input their notes and pictures into Company Cam or Builder Trend. And I'm like, yeah, congratulations, that's great. It still doesn't tell you what happened, right? You still need to have that 5-minute conversation. And the last one, no consequences. You need consequences. Sounds stupid. I get it. I got kids. Right? Consequences. People don't fear or focus if there's no consequences, right? Think about it. And it doesn't have to be like, you're like, oh, well, you're fired, consequences, right? But think about this. If your job is 100% to make it to the NFL, which is a very difficult thing, okay? If you don't follow the training regimen of your trainer, including the nutrition plan, what's going to happen when you try and make it to the NFL? You're going to fail, right? So the consequence is you're not going to be in the NFL, right? I get it. It's an extreme example, but that's what needs to happen. Ahead of time, your people need to know if you hit a gas line and it's your fault, we're taking it out of your paycheck. If you do this and this happens, this is how we're going to remedy it, right? There has to be consequences involved. Otherwise, hell, go hire, whoever off the street. Like it doesn't matter anymore because you're going to pay for it anyway, right? So think about this. The payoff is what we're after. And the payoff should be jobs that run smoothly, that have minimal, if any, rework. Communication happens clearly. We hit deadlines, right? And we get the stuff done that we need to get done. So understand this. Your plan isn't the problem. It's your team ignoring it that is. Your job, create the plan, create the checks and balances, hold people accountable. If you can do that, you're going to watch a huge difference happen in the quality of product you put out, the efficiency of your team, and what it is you're able to do with your business. All right, you guys know the drill. If you're struggling, stuck, trying to figure out how to grow your contracting business, click the link down below. Join our Build Pro community. We have a free 7-day trial where we've got workbooks, worksheets, we've got training videos, access to experts, everything you need to grow your contracting business. All right, you know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1, off you go.